Hello and welcome to Movies, Films, and Flicks. I am Mark Hoffmeyer, and joining me is a man who just jumped over some shrubs. It's John Levingood.
I mean, shrub jumping, when you're my size, shrub jumping really feels like a significant hurdle. If they put that in World's Strongest Man, like, it could be a small shrub, and I would be so impressed if, like, Zadruna Savickas or,
The
Brian
mountain.
Shaw can jump over a small shrub without touching it with any part of their body.
Oh my gosh, that needs to be a strongman event, shrub jumping.
Yeah, and it'd be like a dive roll, right? Because to get the real height, you'd need to dive roll.
Oh,
I mean,
So
these
then they need
guys
to
would
do-
be nervous.
they need to do a shrub jumping event, and then they need to do a hedge jumping event, and then they need to do a maze run through shrubs.
And they need to make them do the dance sequence from Footloose.
Punch dancing in a warehouse?
Yeah. Oh no, I just meant like the Chris Penn,
Oh,
even
let's
something more
dance.
doable.
Oh, dude, okay. You put a yoke, right, on a strongman,
Yeah,
and then they have to complete the maze from The Shining.
dude. Are they being chased by a half frozen Axe Nicholson?
Yes.
I mean,
Imagine that event.
it's unnerving. Well, you know what else? Their hands are tied, so they can't defend themselves well. So it makes them run.
Oh my gosh. And then they get lost, and then their muscles and then one of them uses the right hand technique and makes it through.
The right hand, just follow all the rights and then turn. Yeah, I got you.
I mean, yeah. Oh man, shrub jumping as a strongman event.
That would be devastating, though. The injuries would abound.
And it would wreck the mystique so badly of strongman. Just watching these very, very, very strong men trying to jump a hedge or a shrub.
Yeah, that
I
would be
want
tragic.
Jason Bateman from Dodgeball calling this sport Pepper, and just watching these strong men jump over shrubs.
I want to see this, but I don't want to see these guys get hurt. I feel like it's gonna be like one of those scenes in a movie where the bone is sticking through flesh.
Oh man. It would just be oh god, and it would be very uncoordinated. They would do like little steps. They would break a bone, do some little steps. Because whenever I think of powerlifters, I just think of tiny steps. And just take some big shatter.
Because when
tiny
they do
steps
like
fall.
their yoke walks, they're what is it called?
Yeah.
The frame walk things.
Yeah, they're just walking tiny steps. You know why I brought that up, right?
About hedge jumping?
Yeah.
I don't.
Well, the opening of this movie, when Steven Seagal
Oh my
and his
God.
crew are attacking the compound.
The Chechen safe house.
Yeah, and they're attacking the safe house, and Travis, Austin Travis, which I love. It could be Travis Austin. Which name's better, John? Lieutenant Colonel Travis Austin or Lieutenant Colonel Austin Travis?
I think Austin Travis sounds like he's trying to be the uber American.
Austin Travis.
Yeah.
Like this summer,
Mhm.
Austin Travis
That guy has a country album and he's touring the South.
Austin Travis?
Austin Travis, absolutely.
Okay, I want you to hear two things. This summer, Austin Travis stars as the Sunblazer. Or, this summer, Travis Austin stars as the Sunblazer. Which one you watching?
I think Travis Austin sounds like Joe Biden's nephew, and Austin Travis sounds like a WWE wrestler.
Oh man, Austin Travis. Heel or good guy?
I don't know. He might be like The Rock, where he hops back and forth.
Whoa, is he like a Daniel Bryan who's small, but everyone loves him because he's really technical?
Oh, that would be good. That'd be good. Yeah, like
So-
a Shawn Michaels back in the day.
Whoa. So it could be Austin Travis and Travis Austin, and they could be Marty Jannetty and Shawn Michaels. Weren't they the Flybirds? The Flying Thunderbirds?
Oh, I don't know. Wait, that was a cartoon, wasn't it?
Yeah, the Thunderbirds. They were like the Sun Whistles or something. I don't
The
know what their
Sun
name was.
Whistles. What the hell is that?
I don't know, but the Sun Whistles that sounds like a great band. Like, not a band. It sounds like a Sister Hazel type band, the Sunblazers. No, they weren't the Rougeau brothers. I don't know. They were the Freebirds? No, that's a Leonard Skinner song. I digress. But yeah, so I was watching this movie when they're attacking the compound, and just watching Steven Seagal, Joe Morton, B.D. Wong, John Leguizamo hop over shrubs was just a highlight for me. It was really wonderful, synchronized shrub jumping. And I just thought to myself, you know, you know, John, you and I are Navy SEALs. We could bust into any house and take people out. But can we jump over shrubs in sync?
I think that we can do it a lot better than Steven Seagal.
He does little steps too.
That, yeah, he was. This is like the time frame where he just started to put on a little belly, like not like Godzilla opponent Steven Seagal of modern day, but like he was just starting to get like the dad bod midsection around this time. It's years after his Hard to Kill trilogy, and and he's like 6'5", he's not dive rolling. And whenever you see him fight, and I'm not saying he's not an amazing martial artist, right? But it's not very showy, and he's always like leaning back with his back straight while he's kind of like slapping and chopping at people. Like he is a slap, chop, and fast forward with those arms.
Oh man,
but he's not dive rolling. He's not dive rolling.
No.
He's not jump kicking. He hardly ever kicks higher than his waist, even when he was thin.
Well, if you think about his training, there's a lot of upper body. It's that kind of disarming people. It's getting their hands. Right. But he's not going to he can't disarm a shrub that's on the ground.
No, disarming a shrub would be very difficult for him.
If it was like a Christmas tree, he could take a weapon from it.
But so when I think of Steven Seagal's fighting style, and again, it's very technically impressive. But if you don't understand how it's technically impressive, if you're not someone who spent a lot of time, whether it was boxing or martial arts or something, you probably just look at him. And especially when he throws an occasional kick, and it's never higher than someone's stomach, and they're all shorter than him. He has a fighting style that I would describe as permanently pulled hamstring. He has a permanently pulled hamstring, and he's fighting as if he's trying to minimize leg movement because he has that pulled hamstring. And so he won't even bend his torso forward.
Mm-mm.
I
guess. Yeah. Oh, I love it, John. I see it in my head. Well, I guess you have to keep your feet planted the way he fights to get those knives. So if you want to learn more about his fighting, I did a video for Rotten Tomatoes. We did Jean-Claude Van Damme versus Steven Seagal. So you can go to Rotten Tomatoes versus, and it's on YouTube. And we have his entire martial arts history. He was the first, I think, American to open a dojo in Japan for his martial arts. Like he was legit.
Oh, he's right. Tremendous. Yeah. He
has a very interesting style. And I got to say, John, if he was the star of this movie, it would be 7 minutes long. So you think about this film, and they don't get onto the plane until 40 minutes into the movie. Then, a couple people are killed throughout. One of the henchmen is killed at 100 minutes. The senator is killed at 111 minutes, and the attack doesn't start until 1 hour and 51 minutes into the movie.
Although there's still 25 minutes left at that point.
Yeah, so the total attack of this movie lasts 5 minutes, from 151 to 156. So that's a very short attack scene. But I think this movie works because of the sweat, the nervousness, the furrowed brows, Kurt Russell's stress, Oliver Platt's stress, John Leguizamo's strong leadership. But if Seagal was on this, he was like, okay, guys, I'm going to go upstairs. I'll be right back. 3 minutes later, okay, guys, I'm going to land this plane. You take care of Cappy. Make me a cappuccino. Oh, and I got a date with that really awesome stewardess later on. She's awesome. And then the movie's over. But his vibe doesn't work in this movie. So I'm kind of glad that he got killed at the 40-minute mark of this film, because his vibe just wouldn't have fit. Does that make sense?
Sure. No, absolutely. Because he's an action star, right? He's an action star, and action stars go kind of raise hell for the bad guys, unless you're like the rare Van Damme arc where you get your butt kicked first and you have a comeback. But he was usually less of an action star and more of a fighting underdog star, right? He was like a Rocky. But so Steven Seagal, he just comes in and raises holy hell for bad guys. Whereas this movie isn't about a badass team led by a badass leader. This is about a team that is shattered. And the movie is more, and by my view, the movie is more about rebuilding the team than it is about them beating the bad guys. They have to overcome the team to they have to rebuild themselves to beat the bad guy. But beating the bad guys is, these bad guys are clumsy, and or they're not impressing us with what they can accomplish in terms of combat. Right? The biggest threat that happens is because they thought they killed the big bad guy and he wasn't dead yet. You know, like they didn't check. So
yeah, you know what's interesting? Leguizamo didn't. Oh, so the guy gets killed in the beginning because he doesn't sweep the room, and then Leguizamo gets shot after not checking the body. Interesting.
But
I
don't
love
get me
what you
wrong,
said,
that guy
John.
took some good shots,
Yeah,
but
the air marshal got him.
you still check.
You know what I love too is there could have been, there's a major power vacuum that could have happened when Austin Travis or Travis Austin dies, and I like that there's no wrestling for who's in control, if that makes sense.
And
There's no
witch trial about who's to blame, really.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no one does that. Everyone's just like, okay, we have a job to do. And I think Leguizamo takes the role of leader, but he does so in a way that everyone's just kind of like, yeah, I get it. He's very level-headed. He has a couple moments with Russell, but once they get past that, it's just fun watching. So you have four hyper competent men. One of them has a vertebrae broken. Then there's Oliver Platt, who comes through in the end, but he's thinking about turning them in because he's just a regular Joe. And then you have Kurt Russell, who, in another really unselfish role, he's just an analyst. He's sort of the Jack Ryan of this movie.
Right.
And it's fun watching them because, for me, when I think about this movie, John, I probably hadn't watched this movie, man. I watched it 2 years ago. I watched this movie with my father-in-law, and I always know when he likes an action movie when we play darts on how many games of darts we play, and we didn't even finish one game of darts watching this movie because he just sat there staring at the TV. So this was like a one dart game movie. But so I watched it, but before that was probably 20 years. But I think the joy for me that comes in this film is it's okay. We talked about True Lies too. We love that movie, but it's big, it's comical, it's loud. We talked about, I've talked about Speed with just the elevator, the bus, the train, the explosions. The tension for me in this movie comes more from the straw, comes more from the testing of the bomb, it comes more from Kurt Russell hanging from a wire and making noise with the camera,
Right,
or Halle Berry
around because he's not used to it.
Exactly, and like Halle Berry pointing at the camera. It's that, for me, when I think about this movie, I never think about the gunfight. I never think about the plane landing. I never think about the shrub jumping in the beginning or the gunfight. For me, it's all about the magic wand. And I think that's where this movie's successful. But what's pretty fun, man? I promise I'll let you talk. On IMDb, it has a 6.5 on IMDb, and on Rotten Tomatoes it has a 63, and on Metacritic it has a 62. So it seems like almost every single, well, not every single entity, but IMDb, Rotten Tomatoes, and Metacritic all have it in that 60% range. What do you think about that?
About that range?
Yeah.
Well, I'm a little surprised because I feel like IMDb gets a different kind of psychological rating to it. And I feel like IMDb tends to come in lower for movies that are not like Oscar winners or just utterly, like, that aren't outstanding in their field. And I enjoy this movie, but this is not a True Lies for me. This is not a Die Hard for me, So I would have expected a lower rating relatively on IMDb. So that's curious to me. But I guess great popcorn value and a great cast, and maybe that's what's doing it. But I'm comfortable with those ratings. Is that high in your opinion for this kind of movie for Rotten Tomatoes? You're the Rotten Tomatoes scoring expert.
Yeah, it's higher for Metacritic than I would have thought. Because normally when an action film is 63, the Metacritic score will be about 45, 50. So I'm actually pretty curious. Like, Metacritic says that, like, the Metacritic's more surprised